Hey, this is Randy Langenderfer. If you want to learn how to use your small axe to build an empire, you should be listening to the Small Axe podcast. My good friend Nico.
Hey guys, it's your boy Nico here from the Small Axe Podcast. I want to show you how to use your small axe to build a lasting empire. You see, not everybody begins their investing career with millions of dollars, a huge network of investors, or the knowledge necessary to become successful in this space, and that's okay. What I focus on here on this podcast is helping you hone your skills, sharpen your tools to become the best investor that you can be. Now, I want you to sit back, relax, and enjoy this show. If you have any questions or you want to reach out to me or the guest, feel free to do so. Love you guys.
All right, and we are live. Small Axe community, welcome back to another wonderful episode. This is summertime up here in New York. It is July for me, and as a school teacher, I am just getting started with my summer. I am beginning the surf camp where I coach and teach kids and adults how to surf, and special needs athletes as well. I teach them, and I am in full summer mode right now, so loving life and enjoying it, and I hope you guys are too. And today I have a really special guest on with me. He's been on the podcast in the past, but I haven't had him on in a while, and it is absolutely due for another interview. So Randy Langenderfer, welcome back.
Nico, thanks so much. It's a pleasure to be here today and just great to get reacquainted. It's been a couple of years, but I'm just glad the friendship continues and glad to see the podcast is still alive. Congratulations, man. You're providing value and people are listening.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I recently hit 200 episodes. I'm proud of that. And I'm going to keep going till I can't go anymore. So Randy, let's catch the listeners up to, I guess, where we left off. But rather than starting there, let's give them some context of you, your background, and how you got to where you are today. That might be the best way to tackle this.
So just as a quick refresher for anybody that's new to the audience, obviously not everybody's heard of me, but Randy Langenderfer. I currently live in Houston, Texas. I'm a husband. I'm a father of 4 kids. I started in my real estate journey about 10, 11 years ago. I got started in the single family space, flipping houses, and moved to Houston, Texas for a job where I learned about multifamily and attended a couple seminars here and learned about it. And I just fell in love with it. It just really suited my personality and one of those things that I couldn't get enough of. So for the last 10 years, I've been doing that. And I started as a limited partner investing in other people's deals for the first 4 or 5 years. That was part of my education and part of what I call my investment. And became a general partner in about 2018, I think it was. 2018, yeah. Fast forward to today, I'm a general partner in about 1,500 doors, about 300 million under assets under managed. I left the corporate world a year ago to do this full time.
Congrats.
Yeah, it was. Thanks, Nico. It was part of I hear a lot of people talk about wanting to be full time in real estate to get out of the corporate rat race, but I have a coaching program, and I always tell people, man, don't leave until you can cover your income. I know it may be frustrating, but don't leave until you can cover your income. So, and that was my model. So I set about a very strategic 10-year plan. And here I am today, loving life, doing what I want to do versus working for the man, as I call it.
My man, I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that, Randy. Now, are you partners with or working with Tony Castronovo? He's been on this show like 4 times.
4 times, and I've only been on this one my 2nd time. I'm feeling cheated here. Yes, Tony and I are partners in a recent educational development. We have both been products of large national organizations, and we thought there was a gap missing of those on a smaller basis. So we've founded a boutique educational arm called Multifamily Maestros. We are the Maestros. We've developed an online training program of about 35 different modules covering everything to know there is about buying a property. and we hold group sessions on every Wednesday night, group calls with investors, with students to ask all their questions, and full access to our Rolodex. And we try to make it much more personal. I always use the illustration, Nico. The big box educational arms are plentiful. Those are the Home Depots of the world, where you go into there and you can't find anybody to help you at all. Versus I recently walked into the True Value hardware store in my community, and somebody greeted me at the door and said, "What can I do for you today, sir? How can I help you?"
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of that atmosphere we want to have for our educational program or our mentoring program, is to help people along the way and answer them where they're at. So we're having fun with it. And I'll say early here, for any of your audience that wants to give it a try or is thinking about it, we're offering a 30-day trial where you can have access to the online materials and join our group weekly calls for only $197. Contact me offline, and I'm happy to get you started. It's a cheap entry into trying it to see if you like it.
How can they find you, Randy?
Multifamilymaestros.com, all one word, multifamilymaestros.com is there. You can book a discovery call on there, or I'm on social media, LinkedIn, Facebook. You can send an email to my LLC. It's invest-arc.com, invest-arc.com. Love to chat with you, not only about that, but other things as well.
You're the man, Randy. So thinking back on my personal journey, if I had access to this, first of all, I am a student for life. I am a professional student, and I would have utilized that to the max. I think that's a phenomenal entry price. I think that the value is absolutely there. And I think what you offer and how you offer it with the modules and the weekly calls is incredible. I had, when we're learning, I had so many questions. If I didn't get those questions answered, it would have just, I guess, expanded my time horizon of education and getting into my deals.
Yeah.
But I had access to people, to talk to people, and that is paramount for succeeding as a new investor.
Well, you were wise starting a podcast, and you had a plethora of contacts that you established very early, I remember. And but yeah, Tony and I were both in larger groups, and there's nothing wrong with them. I don't have anything bad to say about them. One, they're much more expensive than where we're at. But two, you get to talk to, talk to the person, you talk to somebody that's a coach or is 2 levels down in the organization, and they need hundreds of people to survive. We only want to do a handful of students at a time to make it really a personal experience. But you're right. You and I both know multifamily is a team sport. And so, the old adage that your network is your net worth. And it's so true in this field, because it is a team sport. You need access getting started to professionals, SEC attorneys, brokers, how to deal with brokers. We cover that, et cetera. There's just all property management companies, depending on where you're at, what market you're in, and how you begin to build your reputation. And when you're starting out, you got nothing. You and I were both in this field. You got nothing, but you're trying to sound credible with the brokers and property managers and other professionals and attorneys and all that stuff. Well, there are a few tricks of the trade, but it's just a lot of relationship building along the way. So that's the biggest takeaway.
Thank you, Randy. Now, when you're talking a little bit about your background and your journey, you mentioned that you began as an LP, which I think is phenomenal, and that's how most people do begin. But you also said that you were learning as an LP. Maybe you could talk a little bit about how people can be learning as an LP.
Yeah, like you, I'm a lifelong learner as well. And the longer I'm in this space, the more I realize how little I know compared to many people. So I've been in it 10 years, but I still got a lot to learn. But that started out for me, Nico, because I was in one of the large national educational arms, and I really just didn't want to pay their $25,000 or $30,000 entry fee to get into their preferred network and see deals and all that stuff. So I said, I'm just going to be a little stubborn. I'm going to invest in other people's deals and learn from them. And it worked well for me. And I just made sure that when I talked to potential general partners that I was investing with, that I said, hey, I really want to learn. I'll work for you for free. I'll come out and do due diligence if that's of help, or I'll do site visits, or if you need boots on the ground. I just really wanted to learn the process. And I said, can I call you periodically and ask about the property and the asset? And you'd be surprised at the number of general partners that are willing to go along with that and help you, because they were all there too at one point in time. So don't be surprised, and don't necessarily think bad of that. I mean, try that approach if you don't have the $30,000 to spend on a large national group. And you learn then by taking the limited partner role, because when you invest money, you and I know you're all in. You're emotionally and financially in, and you read things much closer when you're invested than when you're not. And I developed a list of questions, and I didn't call them every month, but I'd call them periodically and just ask about the market and the relationship with the property managers, et cetera, et cetera. And there are ways to learn. I tell people too, this, your podcast is great. There are tremendous amount of books out there that wasn't there when I started. Just Google meetups in your local area. Just Google real estate meetups. You'll be surprised that whatever market you're in, there's one someplace, if it's a city of any size at all. So all those are part of your educational process that are cheap. They're free. You don't have to spend any money.
Yeah, I love it. And that's a part of my approach as well. I attack everything from all angles, and I was utilizing coaches as well as consuming information, free information like this, podcasts and things like that. But it really helps to have a coaching, somebody that you can kind of lean on, because there are certain questions that it's like I couldn't find on the internet, or I needed somebody to walk me through certain underwriting and just things like that. So having people like you around is, I think, phenomenal. So thank you for doing that for the community.
Well, and even today, I got a problem and I know somebody, but I got to schedule an appointment 3 weeks out or something to talk to them, versus if you've got a mentor, you just pick up the phone and you call them, and you're expecting them, if they can't talk right away, they'll get back to you in the next half day at least.
Yeah.
And that's what you're paying for, is access. So
It's so, I can't stress this enough. It's so critical for those of us who are really looking to get into this game, who are really looking to be the best we can be. We need access to that. And there's really no way around it, unless we're going into this game arrogantly thinking that we can just do this on our own. It's just not possible. So
we were trying to show a student how to underwrite the other night, and you can just imagine, remember those questions when you were doing, cell number C54 on page 4, where does that work to, and all that stuff. And so, and I'm a numbers guy. I love that stuff, but the ability to call and just ask is
so critical. And especially when you're working through, like, you've already put an hour into this one underwriting one deal, and you're stuck at a point where you have a question and you're so close to just getting it done. You need that question answered. It's critical.
And when you get the fever, the real estate fever, you really can't sleep well until you get those questions answered. It's like you go to bed at night going, where's that cell worked for? Well, how's it worked? Whatever.
Absolutely. Cool. Randy, you also mentioned that you have about 1,500 units now as a general partner. Are they across different markets? Do you focus on a specific region or market?
Yeah, I would say my strategy is focusing on the Sun Belt region. So I own Asheville, South Carolina, Houston, Texas, Dallas, Texas, Tucson, Arizona. And you might say, gosh, why the diversity? Well, great partners. So I always give the example of Phoenix. I wanted to be in Phoenix just because I think it's a really hot market and a good market. And I went there pre-COVID in 2019 on a couple exploratory trips. and I met with brokers and I met with property managers and trying to get a feel for the market. And I realized that I got told by a broker when I was there that, you're a nice guy, you're competent, blah, 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 but you don't own here and you're not from here. So you're going to have to overpay for your first couple of properties. And I'm like, I don't think so. And so I went back with my tail between my legs, and it took me a couple of years, but I found a great partner who specializes in Phoenix. And he does nothing but Phoenix properties and Tucson. And I joined his team, and we took down a property about a year and a half ago in Tucson, and it's performing very well. And the point of that story is joint venturing, co-GP, whatever you want to call it, with bona fide partners that have something in that market that I didn't have. He had property management experience, relationships, vendor relationships that would have taken me years to establish.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's just it'll not jumpstart, but really propel your career if you can just partner up with somebody who's got that experience. And I spoke about this a few times with Tony as well. Finding the right team and partners is way more important than the actual deal itself. I mean, because a deal can be dependent on a lot of factors, but whoever's driving that deal will ensure success to the best of that person's or team's ability, regardless of the external situations, because there are going to be challenges on any deal in any market in any time. And how we deal with those challenges is probably more important than the deal itself.
Yeah, and I'm sure you've seen examples, as I have, where an average deal has been made excellent by a great owner or general partner. And you've seen probably examples of good deals that are struggling in mediocrity because the operator is mediocre. And that's just, it's a personal business. It's a relationship business. So it happens.
Yeah, I agree. So what is your typical role in the general partnership team for these 1,500 or so units?
Well, it varies with each one. So I have I've been everything from lead partner, finding the deal, sourcing the deal, to signing as a key principal on a loan, signing my balance sheet or lack thereof on the loan, to raising money for a deal. So I've taken on a variety of different roles in all of them. I like to be, as a general partner, very involved. I like to be that more than less. I sit on asset management calls 4 or 5 a week, every week, just because that's the way I like to do business, but it's all good. So, and you audience can realize that they can fit in any one of those roles. As I was talking to a student the other night, back to the underwriting example, they were really geeking out on this underwriting thing and they really liked it. And I said, you don't realize what an advantage that is. If you find a partner that doesn't like to do that, that is a real advantage for you, because not everybody geeks out on a spreadsheet. And myself, I don't geek out on the marketing side and the social media side as much as other people do, and finding investors as well as others do. So there's a role for everybody to play on a team if you want.
Well, so I really agree with this, Randy. And what happens is, it took me like 3 years to kind of find out what I really like. I was doing a little bit of everything. And my coach at the time was telling me to do everything, just to kind of try everything out, so that I would really kind of fall into place of where I feel most excited. And it turns out that it's really acquisitions, and it's what I love. And like, for example, today I sat down in front of the computer getting ready to do work, and I have a few asset management tasks that I need to take care of, but my brain goes right to acquisitions. I reached out to brokers to try to find new deals, and I underwrote a few deals this morning, just because that's what I needed to get off my chest first. That was the fun stuff before I had to do the actual challenging work. So it's great to have somebody like you kind of guiding and talking about what roles there are for us new investors and guiding us into our best and optimal positions.
I would say your role of acquisitions is the predominant price, because I think a lot of people that get into real estate really love the chase, the hunt, the game, whatever you want to call it. And there is a certain amount of adrenaline rush that comes from chasing a deal and negotiating and trying to find investors and all the things that go with it. But I think the real, what I have learned is I also enjoy that piece of it, just the strategy involved in it. But I think the real success in any property is the operations. You know, it's one hurdle to close property and to acquire, but it's another hurdle then to operate it on a day-to-day basis. And so successfully doing that is an art form as well. And you just might make sure your team has it. But, you know, we spend millions of dollars buying properties, but they're managed by a $40,000 or $50,000 on-site property manager.
Mm-hmm.
And unless you're giving them direction and oversight and knowing what your business plan is and what you're expecting of them on a day-to-day basis, and I know you know this, we're not really completing our fiduciary responsibility, but that's where the rain is made, is in operations.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, I'm also solidifying my team on the operations side. It's been I have 3 active deals right now, and I'm, you know, kind of narrowing down my team to who are the performers and who are kind of just along for the ride. And I love everybody, but it doesn't mean that everybody should be an active investor with me. And it's just kind of weeding that out as I go and as I grow. So just happy to be learning and being a part of this game.
Yeah, and it's but you've hit on the team aspect again, and so what you just talked about to me is classic leadership, Nico. You're representing your investors and trying to determine, like in any business, maybe the team you had to acquire the property isn't the team you need to operate it going forward.
Mm-hmm.
And that's no fun telling people necessarily that, you know, you're a running back and we're a passing team in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't need a running back as bad as we need a quarterback and receivers. Anyhow, a small example, but you get the picture. And so kudos to you for making those tough decisions.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I will do what I can. Randy, what are you seeing it today in the market? Are you still looking at deals? Are deals making sense? What is going on in your world?
Well, I'm sure you would agree, and we're always looking at deals. We're always I'm a buyer in every market, side down, upways, whatever happens. But I think I know you'd agree. We look at deals very differently today than we did 12 or 24 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
They underwrite very differently. You know, the biggest one I say is, if you bought a deal in 2021 or 22, you bought variable rate debt because you just had to. That's the only way you're going to close it. But that's very taboo today, and you know, everybody's looking for fixed rate, so you know your exposure. So yes, I'm looking at properties today. I'm trying to look at what I would consider different stuff than your normal, and no disrespect to a value add deal. They're all value add in one aspect. So last year I did a large property here in Houston with a team, and the driver was there as that was tax abated. And for your listening audiences, if you know anything about Texas, real estate taxes is a key expense, and we reappraise every year, so it can fluctuate greatly. So if you take the taxes out of it, it's a huge savings. On this particular property, we saved $2 million day one out of expenses.
Wow.
By not having to pay real estate taxes. So that's unique. This year, we're doing a property right now, a build to rent property in North Dallas. So a group has combined build to rent as BTR for your listening audience, and that seems to be a new phenomenon. A lot of it in Texas in the South, where it's a different model than building an apartment complex, where these are all 1,700 square foot units, townhomes, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, a garage, a porch, a small yard, all the amenities. And so you're attracting a different style of tenant, and one that you think is going to stay longer and be, it's either a baby boomer or a double incomer with young kids or something like that. So it's unique, and it's got some financial rewards if we hit our pro forma. And just a couple examples of what I consider something different in the market today.
That's awesome. I love the strategies. Now, for the tax abatement, how did you get that?
Well, it was a fiasco for a while. It took us 9 months after we raised the money to actually close. And so I had a lot of investors that got very skittish, understandably so. But the reality is, in Texas, it's a large, drawn out process that has to be approved by the municipality of where you're in, the region, the city you're in. So that is the delay. You need to hire a consultant to do this. You need to get the approval, and then there's a affordable housing clause in it. And the reason the governments do this in Texas is because it's an attempt by the government to make housing more affordable. So in some cases, you have to lower the rents. So 50% of the tenants have to be at like 60, and another portion of them, so 50% are at market rates. I'm sorry. 30% were at 80% of AMI, average median income, and another 20% had to be at 60% of AMI. So that it takes a little bit of unique to actually ensure that, but that's the drill there, and it's a long, drawn-out process that takes consultants.
That's so cool, Randy. Does this how long does it last? Like, is it tax abatement? Is it for years? Is it for ownership, or is it for a year?
It's a beautiful thing. It's 99 years and it's transferable. So
that's incredible.
That's it. It is incredible. And so, this is a large it was 3 buildings actually, totaling over 600 doors. So it was huge. It was $100 million buy plus, I forget the exact number, and like a $25 million raise or something. So I was a small piece of it. But when you take that kind of expense out of properties that quickly, from day one, when you take $2 million out, you can afford to reduce rents in 20% of the property units, a little bit if necessary. And the crazy thing about this one is you didn't have to even reduce rents everywhere. It was really many of the AMI rates were higher than the market rates. So it was almost a no-brainer.
That's incredible, man. And so it takes people like you, people that are savvy, people that are in the game and just know things and know people, to understand that this is a possibility, number one, and then the right team to actually execute on this, and the patience, 9 months of waiting and paperwork, I'm sure, and getting things done and sticking it through, man. Great work.
Well, back to we thought it was going to happen much quicker, but literally we raised money, I think it was April, and we closed in November. So you can imagine how skittish investors thought we were, what'd you do with my money? Where's it at? And understandably so. I don't disagree with them, and that's, again, back to the relationship of know, liking, and trusting the sponsorship group, because it comes down to my investors trusted me or they didn't. I had one person ask for their money back. The other 12, 13 people all stayed, and that was fine. We gave them their money back. And that was another indication that we were honest, that, we gave them their money back. But it comes down to trust in so many of these deals, as you know. And so as your audience is out there, whether you're a limited partner or a general partner, it goes back to the relationships and knowing the character of Nico and Randy or other people you're investing with. Regrettably, you can't always tell that. I've been in partnerships where I thought they were until the rubber hit the road, and then you find out they're a different mindset. So spend time on those relationships.
Yes, I couldn't agree more, Randy. Very important. Very, very important. Let's talk. We're going to transition soon to the end, but I wanted to get your take on what are the next 5 years or so. What does your future look like? If you have it, some people like lay it out. I know you did a 10-year plan to get out of your W-2, but maybe you don't have a 5-year plan moving forward. But if you do, kind of talk about that or what you're seeing in the future for you and your partnership with Tony, et cetera.
Yeah, well, thanks. So the personal side is we hope to grow the coaching business. Yeah, I would love to see that grow and have a consistent 5 to 10 students all the time. We're working on that. That's certainly in the growth model. I'm going to continue to do acquisitions on a. I don't necessarily want to do a volume of deals. I want to do a small quality of deals. So I gave examples of the build to rent and the tax abatement projects. Those are the kinds of the projects I'm looking for. And then since I'm doing this full time and I'm kind of a nerd, I'm also out. I'm going to be, I'm going forth and having conversations about, I'm just going to trial a concept here. I want to build a single duplex and sell it in Houston. Cool. And then hopefully if that is successful, we will build more duplexes and sell them. So it's not going to be a get rich quick scheme, but it's just cash flow. And it's something I like to do. And now that I have a little more time, don't have to go to the office every day, I can do that. So that's the immediate 3 to 5 years anyhow.
I love it, Randy. Well, I am excited to continue watching your journey unfold, to continue supporting you and having you back on the show frequently, just to kind of get your take on what you're seeing in the market, as well as different strategies that you utilize and implement similar to this tax abatement and other things. So thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure, Randy.
It's been my pleasure, Nico. And I'm going to have to give Tony a hard time. I guess he sent you more gifts than I did or whatever to him.
No, we can catch you up. No problem.
It's all right. I'm just busting your chops. Thanks so much for your audience, and love to talk to any of them at the addresses I mentioned before, and we'll put them in the show notes for you.
Yeah, I'm actually going to have you repeat that in a minute. But before we get there, Randy, I almost forgot my question. Let's imagine it was 100 years from now. You have great-great-grandchildren. They wanted to write a book about you to honor you and your life and what you've accomplished. What would you want them to title this book? Or what characteristical traits do you want them to highlight about you in this book?
That's a great question. And as I age, some of your younger listening audience might think that's kind of corny, but as you age, you really have those thoughts. As you think about, well, what do my children say when they stand over my grave one day? And I've had that of standing over my parents' grave and having those thoughts. And so my answer to that question, as I've said to people before when they ask, is what I don't want them to say is, here lies dad or my great-grandfather was the best real estate investor in the world. And that would obviously be a big stretch to say that. But I don't want to be known as a real estate investor. Though I want that to be a part of my legacy and part of the financial legacy, I hope that people, my great-grandchildren and my grandchildren today, see me as a husband, a father, a man that has some principles and characteristics with godly qualities, that has a Christian heritage that he wanted to pass on to his children, and that they see that more importantly than they see the real estate side or any wealth that I have accumulated. Because in my book, that's what it's all about. It's the family versus the net worth.
Well said, Randy. You're the first person to say it, and you said it well, and you explained it really well, and I love it. It's such a cool concept. I mean, we're here as investors for sure, but our main and top priorities are family, friends, loved ones. And second to that is investing. Absolutely. And you know what? We're creating this legacy for our families to take over if they choose to, or if they not choose to. But I love what you're doing, Randy. So thank you so much.
Hey, it's been a pleasure, Nico. Thanks so much.
Oh, wait, let's get the listeners some form of contacting you.
One more time, the contacts. Thanks again. I'm sorry for that. Randy Langenderfer, Houston, Texas, social media, LinkedIn, Facebook. If you're interested in some mentoring, multifamily maestros, all one word, multifamilymaestros.com. There's a discovery call on there. Would love to talk to you and take me up on my offer for $197, 30-day trial. Or my LLC is invest-arc.com. And that's love to talk with you there. There's a book a call there with me, and just love to chat with you about anything real estate or anything else in life.
I love it. You're the best, Randy. Thank you.
All right. Hey, Small Axe community. I would like to say thank you for listening to another episode of my podcast, where we show you how to use your small axe to build a lasting empire. Now, if you liked what you heard, it would mean the world to me if you would subscribe, leave a 5-star rating, and write a review. Also, if you want to get in touch with me, go to my website at smalaxecommunities.com. Book a call with me. And until the next episode, keep sharpening those axes.